All right, so let's talk about that plan among other things. Joining us right now is Congressman Robert Aderholt. Congressman, good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning. Good to be with you this morning.
Nice to have you along this morning. We understand that one thing about that plan includes an extra $200 per week for unemployment insurance, down from the $600 earlier. Is that a good thing in your mind?
Well, it's been shocking of how much pushback we have gotten by so many employers that saying, we have got to have employees to go back to work to get things running. And so it was proving to be a real incentive to add that to have $600. So some people were actually making more money with this additional $600 in addition to their unemployment than they were working. So there was, some real problems were being created, and I heard from employers and continue to hear from employers to say, we have got to get employees back to work, and we need some incentive. And so this is what it's meant to do, to help people who need help, but at the same time to not encourage people not to go back to work when their employer needs them.
Congressman, this plan also follows the same formula, as I understand, as I've been reading it, as the original CARES Act when it comes to that $1,200 paycheck, that stimulus paycheck. It wasn't supposed to be, I thought it was supposed to be more targeted. What do you think?
Well, it seems at this point, it seems to be, again, just like the other money was, at $1,200 per individual, $2,400 per couple. And so it is going out to basically the same individuals that if you were eligible and you make under $75,000 a year as an individual, then you will be able to receive that check just like you were before. So one thing that will be targeted will more for businesses, businesses that had around 600 employees or more were limited. Now it's down to 300. So we're trying to get it towards smaller businesses, or I say we, the Senate, this is the Senate proposal at this point. And I agree with this. I think we've got to trim back. This package will be about $1 trillion. And because of the amount of money that we have spent over the last 6 months on this, we have got to do something to help people, but at the same time, we can't continue to pile on debt.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says this plan doesn't go far enough in helping the coronavirus recession. She says it needs hazardous pay for essential workers, address eviction crisis, and provide more funding for food stamps. Is there room for compromise for that?
Well, I'm sure there'll be some changes, but quite honestly, this is as you pointed out, it's really not as limited as a lot of people first thought. So I think there's very liberal measures in here to try to really help a lot of people that I think need help, and that will get the help without going too far. And one thing that I want to add that's also in this legislation is liability protection. And one thing that's been very interesting to see is we want to make sure that businesses are given protection from lawsuits that's connected with the virus. Obviously, if someone has been negligent and purposely trying to give the virus to someone, then they should be held accountable. But if someone is just doing their job, or business is just trying to provide to the public, then we should add a layer of protection there, and that's what this legislation would do.
Okay, Congressman, we know that Senate leaders and House leaders will be spending most of the month of August to kind of iron out their differences. We'll figure out what happens with that. Right now, though, as we're wrapping things up with you, we are remembering the late Congressman John Lewis this morning, Alabama native, civil rights icon. How are you remembering him and the kind of legacy that he will leave behind?
Yeah, well, one thing that always struck me is about John Lewis, and I had a chance to serve many years with him in the House of Representatives. He was one of the kindest individuals that I had encountered serving in the House. He was always very polite, very nice, soft-spoken. Obviously he was someone who held strong beliefs, but he was someone who had a very strong personality, but he was a very kind and gentle individual. And it doesn't matter if you were Democrat or Republican, he was like, hey, how you doing? And just very gracious. I had an exchange with him once. We were chatting about course, he was John Lewis, and you know, I said my name Robert. He said, "Well, my name is actually John Robert," and he said, "My mom always called me John Robert." And so from then on out, I always called him John Robert when I would see him in the hallways. And so we had that special relationship between the Roberts, so to speak.
Nice personal connection. His legacy will live on for sure. Congressman Robert Aderholt, thank you so much for your thoughts, sir, and we appreciate you waking up bright and early with us this Tuesday morning. Thanks.
Oh, good to be with you. Thanks so much.
You bet. We'll have you back on. 6:12 right now.